Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Please rise for the procession and remain standing for the singing of the national anthem.
I present Elder Campbell to say the prayer.
Tatamskaoka kiogayaasai sinua kutakagiaachik kuahkomagannawak. Ego minu maski igo kape miunaqua kepe miukanuimpoyak. Ego mina tatamskao. I acknowledge this land, the ancient ancestors, and the spirit of this place, Athabasca. O great mystery, I thank you for this day and for this good life you have lent us. I thank you for our families, our children, and our old ones. I thank you for our graduates, their teachers, and for this university. I thank you for the waters that give us life. I thank you for all our relatives, the creatures of this land, the four-leggeds, those that fly, those that live in the water, and those that crawl. I thank you for all the insects and all the tiny ones. I thank you for the trees and all the plants and the medicines and the food. Eguaminogek kapek snamach kapek isichegechek egunek minakakio guetmau katepecheket kakanoemat. Kakanoemat kamiosnig meskanau kap mohteit. Kamiokanwemichek. Ja kamiasnik mina meskanau kausihta maa kojak. Ego minaski kikawinau. Igo kepe miota tepe miokanoem kojak. Ego mina kohkomnau notago atajokan. Vista mina naskomau. I also thank our good Mother Earth for her kindness and her generosity. And I thank the old grandmother for her protection, for her teachings and her laws. I thank the 4 grandfathers who look after the directions and the 4 doorways. And again, I thank the great mystery who guides us, and I ask that we be safe and that we be good relatives and good stewards and good protectors of this beautiful land. Hi, Masi Joe, Migwitz. Thank you.
Thank you, Elder Campbell. Please be seated. And welcome to our 2017 Convocation ceremony. Before I begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional territories where we are gathered today in recognition that we are guests to the original peoples of this land, especially the Cree and the Métis, both of who were present at the making of Treaty 8. Elder Maria Campbell, Mr. President, distinguished guests, members of the Platform Party, graduates, ladies and gentlemen. Today I have the great pleasure of welcoming you to the Athabasca University's 2017 Convocation ceremony. I'm honored to be addressing you today as the new chair of the Governors of Athabasca University. My sincere thanks to Minister Schmidt for supporting my application for this important role through the Provincial Cabinet. While I'm new to this role, I've been part of the Athabasca University family for over 20 years, and it's a pleasure to be on this stage to celebrate with you. I'd also like to thank my husband, Bill Dushensky, and our sons, Lawrence and Peter Dushensky, and our grandson, Nico Dushensky, as well as my business partners and friends and family for all of their support. And a special thanks to Marg Mrazek, our interim board chair for the last number of years, for her friendship and leadership of this institution over the last many years. It's my particular pleasure to welcome today's inductee to the Order of Athabasca University, Ms. Colette Miller, in recognition of her outstanding dedication to Athabasca University during her term as a public board member of the Board of Governors. And celebrating with Colette today is her husband, Craig Miller. I'll be introducing Ms. Miller to you more fully later in the program. Today, we're also fortunate to welcome Roger Morrill, Mayor of the town of Athabasca. Welcome. And a very special welcome to Joy Romero, a former board chair. Joy's son is graduating with us today with his MBA. To you, our graduates, the class of 2017, to all of you, let me say a very, very special welcome. Thank you for being here. This is your day, your time, and I really am happy for your accomplishments. On behalf of the whole Athabasca University community, I'm pleased to welcome you and all of your family and friends, and especially all the little ones, joining us here today to celebrate this special day. In a few minutes, you'll walk across the stage to receive your degrees, and I'd like to congratulate each and every one of you for your accomplishments. As you graduate in 2017, you're entering a Canada and a world that demands fresh ideas, open, creative, imaginative leadership. This demands lifelong learning as well as critical reflection, and your sojourn at Athabasca University will, I trust, prepare you for the next stages of that journey, where you'll apply and hone your skills and learn from and teach others while making your own contribution towards the world that you want to create. As Canada's Open University, Athabasca University is here to stay. We're dedicated to creating opportunities and increasing the quality of education for adult learners worldwide. And you are all living proof of the success of that mission. In fact, over the last few days, we've been called the Athabasca University, the most notable distance learning university in the world. So with that, I think that gives us a high bar to aspire to. According to some sources, the name Athabasca comes from the Cree word Athabascawa, which means where there are plants one after another. And this morning I was walking along the Athabasca River, and there are reeds and vegetation along that river. You may also know that the Athabasca River originates all the way over in Jasper National Park at the toe of the rapidly receding Athabasca Glacier. Flowing along melting ice fields and through gorges, it offers wildlife as well as human habitat on its shores and marshes. As Alberta's longest undammed river, it travels almost 800 miles before draining into the Peace Athabasca Delta near Lake Athabasca. From there, its waters flow north, joining the Peace River to form the Slave River that empties into Great Slave Lake and discharges through the Mackenzie River system into the Arctic Ocean. This river is a metaphor for our university, a university that is open and connected to the world, a university that is undammed, providing open access to a rich diversity of opportunities at undergraduate and graduate levels to learners everywhere. The Athabasca River is also a historic waterway for First Nations people, or sometimes it's thought of as a historic highway. The Sakani, Shuswap, Kootenai, Salish, Stoney, and Cree tribes hunted and fished along the river for many centuries. And from about 1778, the Athabasca River was a key part of the main fur trade route that the Hudson's Bay Company established from the Mackenzie River to the Great Lakes. Through our connection to the Athabasca River, we are connected to the rivers and the oceans and the landscapes, the small towns, cities, rural, remote, and First Nations communities, as well as large urban centers around the world. Distance education becomes even more important at a time when we are reaffirming the importance of our relationships and connections with one another. And at this time when climate change is radically changing our landscape, our researchers here at Athabasca University are leading the conversation about the impact of climate change on our river and by extension on our community and our university. And we're likely the university with the lowest carbon footprint of any in the country. I take my new position at Athabasca University at a time of great change and promise. By now, you will all have heard of the third-party report that was authored by Dr. Ken Coates, and I'm looking forward to working with our president, our administration, staff, and the government of Alberta on developing the strategic plan and actions that will allow us to implement the recommendations of that report. I'm especially delighted to be working closely with our new president, Dr. Neil Fassina, who's also on this convocation stage for the very first time this year. Neil is a visionary leader who's decisive and who has experience leading transformative change. Together, we will implement a new vision for Athabasca University. Dr. Coates' report, based on deep research and extensive consultation, is both thorough and forward-looking. It marks the start of a new phase for our university, one that is positive, progressive, and places AU once again at the forefront of open and distance learning, a position that we are recognized for worldwide. In fact, for almost 5 decades, we've led and innovated in distance education. And we've worked in partnership with First Nations and Northern Alberta colleges to provide educational and professional opportunities for thousands of remarkable graduates like yourselves. We are at a moment as we reach towards our 50th birthday in 2020 that we can recraft our story so that the future is even brighter. Thomas King, the prominent novelist, said, "If we change the stories we live by, quite possibly we change our lives." And then he said, "The truth about stories is that's all we are. So you are now part of our story, and we are part of yours." It's a story that will put you, our students, and the next generation of students front and center in all of our decisions, so that your perspective and your experience and your journey will act as our shared compass towards that brighter future. Together with my colleagues on the Board of Governors, our faculty, staff, and the entire community, once again, congratulations. I'd like to invite His Worship Roger Morrill, the Mayor of the town of Athabasca, to the podium to bring greetings on behalf of the town of Athabasca.
Thank you very much for that introduction. What a wonderful prayer by Elder Campbell. Wasn't that a very interesting rendition of our O Canada by Asani? Very impressive. Before I start my speech, I sought advice this morning. I valued that advice. The advice that he gave me was, Roger, I don't care what you say, but cut it in half. Madam Chair, Mr. President, distinguished guests, members of the Platform Party, graduands, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure as mayor and on behalf of my council and that of Athabasca County Council to bring greetings to the 2017 Athabasca University Convocation ceremony and to welcome all to the greater community of Athabasca, a community that is so proud that Athabasca University calls us home. Graduands, congratulations on the completion of this chapter of your academic journey. As you continue to follow your dreams and career path, you are our future, and it is clear our future is in good hands. I wish you every success. To Athabasca University, our community shares in your successes, challenges, and future. I feel it's very important at this time to acknowledge what Athabasca University has done, not in just words, but deeds. So when you came here this morning, a lot of you for the first time, you might have noticed there's a structure to the west of us that's being built. That structure would not have happened without the collaboration and understanding and the wishes of Athabasca University to see this brand new school coming to fruition. The very building that we're in is on Athabasca University lands. And again, in its extreme good community stewardship, gave this land to allow us to procure this and build. Just a couple nights ago, our community also was lucky enough to start forth with a brand new swimming pool, again, up in this area, currently will be built on Athabasca University lands with their help and again, collaboration. I think it's very important to note what a community steward Athabasca University is. The Slave Lake fires of 2011. I remember a comment from Premier Ed Stelmach, who had received a call from the President of the United States wondering, what did Athabasca do that seemed to work out so well? They had gone through Hurricane Katrina. And I think a lot of the reasons that our community did so well during that evacuation and that terrible disaster was the logistical support of Athabasca University. It's so wonderful having a university like this in amongst our presence to help us in those times of needs. And the schooling, they allowed the schooling to continue. They went out of their way. Convocation was going to be held very close to the timing of the closure of our center here for the fire evacuation. Athabasca University insisted that if we needed the space, this very space was housing the evacuees, if we needed this space, there is no way that they wanted to interfere with that, and they would go to Plan B. Not an easy thing to do if you've ever planned a major function. Collaboration. That's, again, what this community is all about. If you see the facilities we have here for a community of 3,000, it's simply not possible. The reason it is possible is working with people like Athabasca University and especially our great partners, Athabasca County. A word comes to mind right now. I'm going to say this: adversity. This is my 8th year that I've had the honor of standing at this podium. And what impresses me so much is not the diplomas that are handed out, but the stories behind the diplomas. The consideration, the help of family and friends, the story. Yes, we're seeing the destination here this morning, but it's the journey along the way that so intrigues me. And it's the journey that has changed these people, these fine people, that are going to receive the document that they've so long and worked so hard to attain. So, as they've gone through and dealt with the different adversities as they went along their path, Athabasca University has to deal with their adversities, and they've done so. Adversities are the foundation that build us. Yes, it's nice to have diplomas and documents to hand on the wall, but it's during that journey to get those things, we build that foundation. And Athabasca University has gone through adversity before. They know how to get through it. They have the wherewith. And most importantly of all, they know that you don't do it alone. We do it together. In closing, good luck, graduates. And may everyone gathered here today enjoy your stay, and may all have a safe drive home. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Morrill. And now I'd like to invite our president, Dr. Neil Fassina, to join me at the podium and to deliver his opening remarks.
Elder Campbell, Madam Chair, distinguished guests, members of the Platform Party, graduands, family and friends, welcome to Athabasca University for this very special convocation ceremony. To our graduands and their loved ones who have traveled to be with us today, I will admit to being as excited as you are for this day of celebration, as it will mark my first time at Convocation as the president of this amazing university. For many of you, not only will this be the first time you've been to Athabasca, it may also be the first time that you've met your fellow learners or the exceptional faculty and staff here at AU in a face-to-face environment. And know that today, we all stand united in our pride for your accomplishments and successes being celebrated throughout the day. Few would argue that the knowledge enabled through education fuels individuals and their communities to rise to their highest potential. The same knowledge forms the basis of innovation that strengthens the social, the environmental, and the economic opportunities and diversity within those communities. And each and every one of you is a testament to the power of knowledge without boundaries. For some of you, the pressures of everyday home or job life may have limited your time and ability to study. For others, it may have been your connection to your community or your culture that would have been just too large of a sacrifice to give up in order to attend a traditional university environment. For other graduates, perhaps it was a limited academic record that was preventing you from attending an alternative university. But regardless of your personal circumstance or background, Athabasca looked and embraced only one single thing, and that is your passion to learn. Athabasca has an unbelievably rich history spanning nearly 50 years in which we have systematically dismantled the barriers that learners face in pursuit of their own personal learning goals. And at each turn, we endeavor to create inclusion and access in ways that no one else can. For instance, did you know that 78% of our learners indicate that if it wasn't for AU, they would have not been able to access university education or would have had great experiences, or would have dealt with great difficulties in doing so. Or that 70% of our learners are the first in their family to achieve a university credential. It is numbers like these that reinforce the important place that you too will soon be as graduates of AU in the knowledge landscape of Alberta, Canada, and well beyond. And today you join a group of 30,000 distinguished alumni all over the world, each of which has a story of the impact that AU had in their personal learning journey. And we hope that you will join them in telling your story incredibly proudly, knowing that in turn, you will leave here today and you will become just as much a part of our story. Know that as you take the next steps in your personal journey, we will join you in the next step in our journey towards a bright and prosperous future. While many are looking to you as leaders in your community, many around the world are expecting us to do the same. They are looking for AU to be a leader and innovator in open, accessible, and flexible distance learning. Following in your demonstration of strength and persistence, AU will embrace this leadership role for the betterment of our graduates gone by, our graduates of today, and many of our graduates of tomorrow. Like you, we are fueled by a passion for learning. Like you, we are strong, we are committed, and we are resilient. Like you, we remain focused on our future. Like you, we will continue to rise to our highest potential. And as Canada's Open University, we will tell your stories proudly as part of our story, as a global model of accessible and inclusive lifelong learning. I want to thank you for being here today. Thank you for making AU part of your journey. And I, along with the entire university, wish each and every one of you all of the best in whatever journey you choose to take. Congratulations once again.
The Order of Athabasca University is given to recipients that have provided exemplary service to Athabasca University or have rendered exemplary service to the community or society while representing Athabasca University. It's my pleasure to introduce our inductee to the Order of Athabasca University. Can I please invite Colette Miller to stand and join me here on the podium? I think I'm going to introduce you first, and then you can speak. Elder Campbell, Mr. President, distinguished guests, members of the Platform Party, graduates, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the newest inductee to the Order of Athabasca University, Ms. Colette Miller. Beginning in 2013, for more than 3 years, Colette served this university as a member of our Board of Governors. She chaired the Audit Committee and served as a member of both the Board Executive and the Finance and Property Committees. She provided strong governance oversight as we implemented our enterprise risk management system on legislative compliance matters and our dealings with the province's Auditor General. She served most recently as a member of the Presidential Search Committee, which you can tell she did an amazing job, because it resulted in Dr. Neil Fassina joining Athabasca University last fall. Colette's knowledge and experience were greatly appreciated at board meetings, and I regret that we didn't overlap at those meetings, but we did have a chance to chat at a number of different Athabasca University functions over the years. Her contributions have always been both thoughtful and helpful, and she's regarded with the deepest respect by former colleagues on the board. Those of you familiar with service on public boards will know just what a significant commitment of time and energy this entails, not to mention the sacrifice of family time. As you know, our board members serve as volunteers, and I'm sure that the faculty, staff, and the general public would be aware of the wonderful contributions that our public board members make. People like Colette serve because they care and because they want to make a positive difference. Colette's devotion to Athabasca University has been long-standing, and she's been an effective supporter, advocate, and friend to AU. It's my honor to present to you the 2017 inductee to the Order of Athabasca University, Ms. Colette Miller.
Well, good afternoon, graduands and all honored guests. 15 years ago, my son Luke had finished 4 years of university and was traveling to Malaysia and Thailand for a couple of months. I don't recall any of the usual motherly stresses. What if he gets lost and can't find anyone who speaks English? What if something bad happens to him? These things never crossed my mind. The big stress? How is he going to get his Athabasca University Advanced Financial Accounting course done before he leaves? He needed this course to be able to complete his degree from the U of A. Well, Luke powered through the assignments, occasionally tapping into my accounting background for a clarification, and he passed his exam with a couple of weeks to spare. Now that was stress, and that was joy. Many of you here today have probably experienced all of this: the deadlines, the procrastination, buckling down, getting it done, and then exhilaration. Exactly what we're celebrating here today. Another encounter I had with AU was over 20 years ago through my former piano teacher, Mr. George Kawada. At the age of 75, he had come out of retirement to teach piano to my daughters and a handful of other students. I was very surprised to find out that George was an avid student himself. He had taken AU courses over many years for fun and probably was a glutton for punishment. As many of you here today know, AU has opened the door to so many who do not have access or resources to attend post-secondary classes in person. For Mr. Kawada, a quiet piano teacher living alone in Vegreville, AU fueled his brain and provided him an interesting window to the world. 40 years ago, that's a long time ago for some of you, I graduated from high school in Vegreville and was looking forward to going into law and the Faculty Saint-Jean at the U of A. When I realized that summer that I was pregnant, my plans changed dramatically. Craig and I got married that fall. Our oldest son, Jeff, was born in February, and I was terrified that I would not be able to go to university. Athabasca University was relatively new, and I had investigated this as an option. And quite frankly, I thought that it would be a very difficult path. The next September, we were able to attend the U of A, me in business and Craig in agriculture, where we spent the next 4 years. I am in awe of all of you who have taken this more difficult path of distance education, often managing families and jobs at the same time. The access to education that AU provides is life-changing. As you have heard, AU has been woven through my life story, and I am so grateful to receive the Order of Athabasca. I hope that serving as a governor on the board has in some small way supported your success here today. I look forward to a happy future for all of us with many more Athabasca University stories to share. Thank you very much.
Will the candidates please rise? Madam Chair, Mr. President, and ladies and gentlemen of the board, I present to you the petition that these graduands, having fulfilled all of the requirements of the statutes of Athabasca University, may, with your permission, be admitted to the degrees to which they are entitled.
On behalf of the Board of Governors of Athabasca University, I declare this petition granted.
All right, graduates, I get your last assessment. Do you promise, when you are admitted as graduates of Athabasca University, to observe faithfully and to maintain loyally the statutes, customs, and privileges of this your university? And do you promise to accept and exercise with good judgment the authority and responsibilities of the graduate, and to conduct yourselves in all things loyally and faithfully to the honor of your university? And do you promise to use the knowledge, skills, and wisdom you have acquired to the enhancement of the reputation of the university for the advancement of learning and for the betterment of all?
I do so promise.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the legislature of this province and with the consent of the General Faculties Council of this university, I admit you and those in absentia to the degree to which you are entitled and confer upon you all the powers, rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining to that degree.
Madam Chair and Mr. President, I have the honor to present to you graduates for admission to the degree of the Doctor of Business Administration, and Dr. Kay Devine and Dr. Pamela Haranek will join you to receive the graduates. Tanvir Ahmed, Mississauga, Ontario. In Tanvir's career in finance and economics, he encountered several complex problems. While looking for a solution, he discovered some disconnect between the academic literature and what was actually required to find practical solutions. That experience motivated him to pursue doctoral research relevant to his professional work. Other doctorate programs required a complete academic focus, while Athabasca University allowed him to achieve his goal without having to give up his work and lose connection with it. The degree has helped him transition into the consulting profession, which has made his main career goal since moving to Canada. Tanvir Ahmed. Charles B. Crawford, Fredericksburg, Quebec. Charles' research was in the area of entrepreneurship and what it takes to successfully grow a new venture. While completing his Doctor of Business Administration, he managed to build his business, which grew rapidly and was acquired in late 2016. This was a major life achievement that happened about the same time he was completing and defending his Doctor of Business Administration thesis. Of the many people he would like to acknowledge, he most supports his wife, Dr. Susan Reed, and his children, Haley and Scott, for all the support, patience, and love. Charles B. Crawford. Madam Chair, and Mr. President, this concludes the presentation of the Doctor of Business Administration graduates. Madam Chair and Mr. President, I have the honor to present to you graduates for the admission of the degree of Masters of Business Administration, and Dr. Alex Condra and Dr. Pamela Haranek will join me to receive the graduates. Tariq Mohammed Ashik, London, Ontario. After 15 years in a marketing career, Tariq moved to Canada as an international student from Saudi Arabia. As an Arab person, his first challenge was learning to write from left to right rather than right to left, as he was so accustomed. He thanks his boss, Tina Bax, for her moral support, as well as his wife, Arij Balia, and his daughter, Weed Gad and Nad, for their continued family support. Tariq is in the final stages of launching a project, mbamelodies.org, which will deliver business and management in a musical way. Tariq Mohammed Al-Sheikh. Julio Cesar Apricio Aquila, Fort McMurray, Alberta. The Masters of Business Administration at Athabasca University has helped Julio learn new techniques that he is now applying at work to become more efficient. He also feels more prepared to start his own business if he decides to venture into new work opportunities. He acknowledges his wife and children, David and Sophia, and for their support during his studies. As a recipient of the Queen Elizabeth II Scholarship, he feels most honored. Julio Cesar Apricio Aquila. Nicola Jane Archibald, Coquitlam, British Columbia. When Nicola first considered this program, some of her family and friends were concerned, since she lives in chronic pain. That makes it much more difficult to pursue a degree at the same time. But regardless of the challenges, she's a consummate optimist and was determined to achieve her goal. She thanks her husband, Shane, for his unconditional support and her family for understanding when her study schedule had to take precedence. Nicola Jane Archibald. Milad Armin, Vancouver, British Columbia. Milad chose Athabasca for the flexibility of the program and the university's good reputation. During his studies, he appreciated the positive feedback he consistently received on his ideas expressed in papers and discussion. He acknowledges his family and friends for their support throughout the program, and now looks forward to be able to move along to make more strategic and high-level decisions to whatever organization he works for. Milad Armin. Igor Bakaratsky, Hampton, Ontario. Igor now considers himself to be a licensed juggler. He has learned to juggle a dozen things at once without breaking a sweat, and while he enjoys a glass of Merlot at the same time. He appreciates his classmates from the orientation course with whom he developed some good friendships, and on a number of occasions when he felt overwhelmed, he reached out to those classmates and received welcome reassurances. He's many people to thank, but most importantly, his wife Michelle for all her support. Igor Bakaratsky. Richard D. Balt, Calgary, Alberta. The way Athabasca University Master of Business Administration program is offered worked well with Richard's unpredictable work schedule. His experience with the program was good. Time management was sometimes, however, a challenge, but he recommends prospective learners to use the tools available and that allow you to do your coursework from anywhere. He also stresses not to be afraid to take the occasional day of rest. He thanks his wife for supporting his efforts to his education. Richard D. Balt. Ryan James Barkley, Warman, Saskatchewan. After high school, Ryan entered the workforce at entry-level roles. One company was particularly encouraging his development, and as a result, he advanced to larger roles. He was then encouraged to pursue this degree. Midway through the program, he was promoted to his first senior executive role. He thanks his wife, Camilla, for being a major factor in his completion of the degree and considers it a mutual accomplishment and one that she should receive formal recognition for. Ryan James Barkley. Lena Bissani Armstrong, Beaumont, Alberta. Lena learned so much from this experience. She has a new outlook on business and as a result views the world differently, recognizing that there are many lenses to take it all in. She's forever grateful for this newfound knowledge and for the people she met along the way. Her in-residence courses were phenomenal, specifically developing leaders, where she remembers being humbled in the vast amount of knowledge in the room. She thanks her husband, her children, and her mother for their support. Lena Bassani Armstrong. Tasha Brideau, Brampton, Ontario. It was challenging for Tasha trying to balance her course requirements with a busy career in human resources. However, she had great support from her husband, Renee, throughout this endeavor and thanks him especially for staying up late to proofread her assignments. Part of this degree belongs to him. He's also thankful to her Athabasca professors for the wisdom and encouragement they provided. Tasha Brideau. Katerina Martins Castellano, London, Ontario. The keys to Katerina's successful completion of this degree were accountability, time management, dedication, and the drive to succeed. This experience has definitely helped her to grow and develop as an individual. The support she received from her family, friends, and co-workers has also contributed a great deal. She thanks her husband, Annabelle, for taking over the household duties, and her children, Selena and Lucas, for their great patience. Katerina Martins Castellano. Yasmin Amirali Charinia, Kamoka, Ontario. The most challenging circumstance for Yasmin during her studies was trying to juggle home and work. She responded by setting a schedule for herself that kept her accountable. She enjoyed meeting fellow students from around the world and in various careers, and she also enjoyed the in-residence portion of her work where she met other students face to face. She thanks her family for their understanding and supporting her through the completion of her degree. Yasmin Amirali Charania. Sapna Chawla, Calgary, Alberta. Sapna's favorite memory is her first group in the strategy course, where her classmates seemed to connect the most, and she thanks Linda Bramble, her applied projects coordinator, for being so supported, her husband Deepak for taking on all of the responsibilities around the house so she could focus on her studies. He sacrificed many evenings to support her needs and stood by her through all the challenges. Sapna Chawla. Layli Chowdhury, Scarborough, Ontario. First and foremost, Layli wants to thank her husband for being her pillar of strength throughout this journey. Without him, it would not be possible. She also acknowledges her parents for their never-ending support. 20 years ago, they left everything behind to move to Canada so their children could attend Canadian universities. And it's because of their continuous guidance and encouragement that she's walking across this platform. Layli Chowdhury. Carol Lorraine Clark, Calgary, Alberta. Halfway through her degree, Carol obtained a senior manager position, leaving her new role while still pursuing her degree with more challenge. She was able to find balance through perseverance, hard work, and strong organizational skill. She felt fortunate to have the strong support network that included her husband, her 2 children, friends, and co-workers. And she thanks Athabasca University coaches for their patience along the way. Carol Lorraine Clark. Lori Ann Dugan, Airdrie, Alberta. Lori began her studies while working in Ontario. 2 years ago, she accepted a job in Alberta. And although moving across the country and starting a new job in the middle of her studies was a challenge, she was able to keep up with the courses and even doubled up a few times. She currently works at a post-secondary institution and values the opportunity to shape her educational experience. Lori Ann Dugan. William Brian Ferris, Mississauga, Ontario. William chose Athabasca University MBA because it offered him the flexibility he needed to continue working and pursue his advanced business education. He's very pleased with his experience, and he thanks his family for being supportive, especially Kathy, who looked after many of the day-to-day tasks so he could finish his school requirements. Her support and encouragement is a big reason for his success. William Brian Ferris. Tim Dale Gartner, Dollard des Ormeaux, Quebec. Tim acknowledges his wife for being supportive. Throughout his MBA, she took care of 3 students, he and their 2 children, and this program has solidified his leadership skills and changed how he views and resolves problems. He will also remember his human side of mergers and acquisitions course. It was a great, intense week in Florida. And he's going to investigate Yuengling breweries for a possible acquisition. Tim Dale Gartner. Carrie Ann Michelle Gervais, Hanmer, Ontario. The week Carrie Ann spent in Edmonton for her Developing Leaders course was a memorable experience. Deborah Hurst and Angela Workman-Stark were to broaden their students' knowledge while also inspiring them to be great leaders. She attributes her success with this program to having a strong network of family and colleagues, and especially gives thanks to her husband James for his unbelievable support. Carrie Ann Michelle Gervais. Darren James Hyde, Morden, Manitoba. Darren participated in 2 in-residence electives, Developing Leaders and the Human Side of Mergers. These experiences took online learning to a new level and created memories that will last a lifetime. When he started the program, he had a 1-month-old baby. When he finished, his wife was pregnant with their 2nd child, so finding proper school-work-family balance was challenging. Thankfully, he has an understanding employer and an incredibly supportive wife. Darren James Hyde. Sheldon Hess, Swift Current, Saskatchewan. This experience has been tremendously valuable to Sheldon's professional career. The content of each course directly applicable to his professional responsibilities, and he feels he's better equipped to handle his executive obligation. His in-residence courses were a highlight, and he recommends future students to do them right away. He thanks his wife, Barb, and their children, Duncan and Chloe, for their great support. Sheldon Hess. Len Chi Hoang, Edmonton, Alberta. Len enjoys hiking, and in fact, he's hiked Machu Picchu twice. He notes that at both times it was easier than doing this MBA. While completing the program, his wife gave birth to 2 boys. The activity called Sleep took a 2-year hiatus. He thanks his wife for supporting him every step of the way through his journey. He now has the experience to make a difference in his organization. Len Chi Hoang. Sean L. Horton, Woodstock, Ontario. The asynchronous environment offered by AU appealed to Sean as he was traveling to and from Mexico for the first 20 months of the program. On one occasion, his laptop was stolen, all his schoolwork on it, and he is thankful that the notes program synced up perfectly and he lost only a few days. He thanks his wife for taking this educational journey with him and his children as his source of inspiration. Sean L. Horton. Paul Desmond Houston, Fort McMurray, Alberta. Paul would often begin his studies at dusk, and before he realized it, the sun was setting, and he was still in his pajamas. This was known as his MBA uniform. He gives special thanks to his wife Mel, his son Fletcher, and daughter Camden for their contribution. He also thanks Shell Canada for their assistance, especially during the Fort McMurray wildfires. Paul Desmond Houston.
That's one. Thank you.
Zibingnu Indilak, Edmonton, Alberta. One of Zeb's favorite courses was International Business, Understanding and Managing Legal Risks. He thanks his professor, Alan Franklin, for putting together a wonderful Washington in Residence program, thought-provoking discussions. And he thanks his wife, our children, Kira and Victor, who patiently stood by him and took over many of the household chores. ZB Indilak.
Thank you.
Christopher Robert Kachuk, Calgary, Alberta. Chris thanks Dr. Tim Narenz and Dr. Leanne Keppel for coaching and guidance. It inspired clear direction and perseverance, and he thanks his mom and dad for their parenting, dedication to lifelong learning and work ethic. He thanks his mother-in-law Janet for prayer support and his wife Stephanie for being his anchor, confidant, and executive coach. This past Mother's Day, Stephanie gave birth to their 4th child, Christopher Robert Kachuk. Ali Amir Kanji, Calgary, Alberta. Ali remembers how Professor Eris Solomon pushed his students and drove them to think beyond the textbook. He appreciated Professor Solomon that he was doing this because the world is small and people need to think bigger. That concept has remained with him, and he thanks his family for their support, including his parents and sister, and especially his wife, Roxana, who provided immense amount of assistance and sacrifice. Ali Amir Kanji. Samira A. Kanji, Calgary, Alberta. Samira recalls Dr. Eris Solomon and his twist on corporate governance viewed through the epic failures of certain companies and industries. She will also remember how Dr. Cam Jugdev demonstrated successful project delivery and outcomes through the stage gate model, fit for purpose project management work. She thanks her husband, Hanif, and all the patients and support, and her children for being patient and understanding, and parents for always helping with so many things. Samira A. Kanji. Lance Michael Keast, Calgary, Alberta. Traveling the world is more appealing to Lance than material possessions or a big house, and he has had more than 30 countries and more yet to visit. The best thing about completing this degree is that now he can look at changing careers, and this will increase his chance for acquiring a better job abroad. He thanks his wife Amy, his daughter Victoria, and his parents Shannon and Les for supporting his busy schedule and while he focused on this degree. Lance Michael Keast. Rafiza Beg Khan, Ajax, Ontario. A number of years ago, after several unsuccessful attempts to pursue higher education, other responsibilities always taking precedent, Rafiza abandoned the idea, but one day her daughter introduced her to Athabasca University, and now she's achieved her goal. This is particularly meaningful because her parents immigrated to Canada in 1975 so that their children would have this opportunity. Rafiza is the last of 4 to accomplish this. Rafiza Beg Khan. Stephen Peter Klassen, Newmarket, Ontario. Learning became addicted for Stephen during his MBA, and post-MBA, he was challenged to know what to do with his time. So he picked up a few ventures for consulting and a few new initiatives to fill his time. He wants to thank his family, especially his wife Lisa, who encouraged him throughout the journey. Stephen Peter Klassen. Renee Albert Kohut, Spruce Grove, Alberta. Renee and his wife decided to go back to school simultaneously, and if that wasn't challenging enough, He was also fully engaged in his career and had both of their children were under 3. He thanks his wife and children for their great support and for those times when he and his wife were both operating at maximum capacity. He thanks their parents for their help and support. Renee Albert Kohut. Charles Louis Langevin, Newmarket, Ontario. The company Charles worked for had just been sold as he was starting his MBA, and he used that to take advantage of this by choosing course projects that aligned with integration activities. This was a major factor in his ability to complete the program. He thanks his wife Nancy and their children Bennett and Amy for their support. And he thanks his employer Reynolds Consumer Products for the flexibility they allowed. Charles Louis Langevin. Dwayne Allen Liddell, Edmonton, Alberta. A fond favorite course of Dwayne's was his in-residence corporate governance elective when he got to know a number of colleagues, shared some wonderful stories, and gained lasting relationships. He thanks all of his academic colleagues and coaches for their support and acknowledged the love and support from his parents, friends, and work colleagues, particularly his wife Monica, his biggest fan, son Anthony. Dwayne Allen Liddell. Sean Gavin Levi, Thornhill, Ontario. Completing this degree during a challenging and exciting time at work is an achievement that Sean has immense satisfaction for. He dedicates his degree to his wife and thanks their daughter for supporting him through his studies. He also thanks Dr. Tim Nurenz, Dr. Era Solomon, Dr. Angela Workman-Stark, and Gord Sorley for their support and mentorship. It will not be forgotten. He's thrilled and honored to graduate with his fellow classmates. Sean Gavin Levi. Justin Barry Latoon, Edmonton, Alberta. Justin was initially attracted by the reputation of AU MBA program, and that in fact, more than any other program he looked at, AU's format enabled him to balance work, home, and school. And once engaged in the program, he was particularly struck by the camaraderie that developed between students. He thanks his wife, Keely, for all that she did to support him through his studies. Justin Barry Litton. Stephen Robert MacDonald, Toronto, Ontario. One challenge Stephen faced during his studies was finding time for schoolwork while traveling with his job. He had to be creative where he studied, such as in airports, hotel rooms, and just about everywhere when he had a free moment. He thanks Marianne, who encouraged him when he needed it, congratulated him on the small wins, and listened to everything exciting and concerning, and most importantly, made hundreds of cups of tea. Stephen Robert MacDonald. Estella Wa Ma, Edmonton, Alberta. For Estella, the best thing about completing this degree was learning how to be a better leader and how to improve relationships in business, personally, and in one's community. She's become more confident and feels she's now better able to give back to others by sharing her relevant skills and broader perspectives. She thanks her coaches and members of her cohort for helping her to enrich this experience, and her family for all their support and sacrifice. Estella Wa Ma. Yeah. Lisa Dawn McDonnell, Vancouver, British Columbia. Lisa will remember panicking when she read unfamiliar words like Issaquah, or one of her biggest challenges was adapting her business writing style to the academic style. She was used to keeping everything on one page to hold a reader's interest, and overcame this challenge by studying academic papers and learning from her colleagues. She thanks her friends and family for their unfailing support, especially her husband, who's been amazing throughout her journey. Lisa Dawn McDonnell. Rebecca A. McKnight, Edmonton, Alberta. More than 10 years ago, Rebecca completed her undergraduate degree with AU in HR and Labor Relations. She never imagined 10 years later she'd be up here with her MBA. The program has broadened her knowledge of business frameworks and strategic analysis and has improved her ability to take risks. She's grateful to her husband Lanny and her family and for their support and encouragement. Rebecca A. McKnight.
Thank you so much.
Joseph Adam Mayer, St. Albert, Alberta. Joseph's favorite AU experience was the in-resident week for developing leaders. It was a whirlwind of shared experience, great stories, intense listening, and something he'll never forget. He's grateful to his fiancée, Kristen, for her love and support throughout his studies, and appreciative to his company for their support, and looks forward to adding more value to his workplace as a result of his achievement. Joseph Adam Mayer. Vikramjit Singh Manasc, Grand Prairie, Alberta. This program has given Vikram much more than just a degree. It's given him confidence in the workplace and taught him a lot about himself. He thanks his wife, Natasha, for the sacrifices she made to support him. They had 2 children during his studies, and it wasn't easy. Natasha has strength beyond measure and is his definition superwoman. She has a request for Vikram. No more school until the kids have moved out. Vikramjit Singh Manasc. Rahim Mitha, Edmonton, Alberta. Rahim thanks his parents, brother, and friends for their support. He also thanks the 2 Tims, Tim Narenz and Tim Carroll, for guidance in the program. His conflict resolution and negotiation course was the most memorable. Not only was it fun, but it also taught him valuable life skills. He also thanks his wife, who not only inspired him to pursue his degree, but kept him in check. Rahim chose AU because he works here, and it's the world's first online MBA. Rahim Mitha. Shafana Mitha, Edmonton, Alberta. Shafana's biggest personal achievement is the application of what she learned during her applied project research on diversity and inclusion in the workplace. She appreciated the passion and knowledge of applied project supervisor Angela Workman-Stark and thanks her family for their support along her journey, especially as both Shafana and her husband were simultaneously pursuing their master's degree. Shafana Mitha. George Peter Bitsopoulos, Fort McMurray, Alberta. George very much enjoyed the in-residence electives where he could speak to fellow students and work with them. It was a great experience to hear Stephen Murgatroyd in their class. He found the MBA and the team at Athabasca to be excellent. He thanks his wife, Mary Ray, and their boys, Nick and Chris, for their patience and support. George lived in Athabasca between 1992 and 2006, so it's especially meaningful to come back. George Peter Bitsopoulos. Lorraine Morin, Enoch, Alberta. One experience that truly stood out for Lorraine was learning from Coach Stephen Murgatroyd. She appreciated his approach to teaching, where he would enable and encourage his students, and rather than simply filling them with content. She acknowledges him and many other coaches and professors and fellow students for their support during her studies. She acknowledges her family for standing by her, especially when the going got tough. Lorraine Morin. Vincent Blair Morose, Edmonton, Alberta. Vincent very much enjoyed the applied projects and working through it with Dr. Bramble. She helped him focus on the material in the most productive manner and as a result learned a great deal he would otherwise missed. He thanks his peers and professors for sharing their wisdom. He thanks his wife, Shauna, for putting up with his fatigue and moods and for keeping their life running during his prolonged absence at school. Vincent Blair Morose. Rob Morone, Toronto, Ontario. Rob has been waiting for more than 30 years to complete an MBA. He graduated from the U of T Bachelor of Commerce program 30 years ago and was planning to start an MBA, but life took him in a different direction. 5 children and years of work later, he finally achieved his goal. He thanks his wife for her emotional support throughout his studies with AU and for giving him time away to read, study, and prepare his assignments. Rob Morone. Kristen Jean Mulligan, Spruce Grove, Alberta. Kristen's favorite course was developing leaders, where Deborah and Angela pushed them to go to that uncomfortable place of self-discovery. She thanks her husband Shane and their 3 children, Brooke, Luke, and Cooper, for the sacrifices they made. That is the reason she's here today celebrating this accomplishment. She's so proud to be on this platform as a wife, mother, career woman, and now an MBA. Kristen Jean Mulligan. Timothy Joseph Nugent, Calgary, Alberta. For Timothy, the best part of his degree was that it allowed him to change career focus from IT to getting more involved in business. Instead of winding down his career, he feels like he's just getting started with the fun stuff. Some of his course papers, most notably operations reporting, were used to launch a project in his office. He especially thanks his wife, Shelley, for her support for handling so much while he studied. Timothy Joseph Nugent. Stephanie Dawn Partridge, Calgary, Alberta. Stephanie began her MBA in 2013, and throughout her studies was able to apply her learnings to a role at the Bank of Montreal. During that time, she was promoted 3 times, and thanks BMO for supporting her continued education and developing her as a leader. Thanks to her husband, Daniel Potter, for all his support, and her mom, who is here today to help her celebrate, and her dad for their ongoing support as well. Stephanie Dawn Partridge. Nice to meet you. Ian Alexander Patterson, Burlington, Ontario. Ian participated in 3 in-residence courses, and during each of them he met and worked with incredible people from various fields of expertise and walks of life. He became managing director of the company where he works, and he's used the skills acquired directly from this program in his day-to-day responsibilities. He thanks his girlfriend Christine, his parents and his family, and his friends who supported and encouraged him. Ian Alexander Patterson. Paolo Premiani, Woodbridge, Ontario. Paolo thanks his wife and 2 daughters for their support, patience, and love during his studies. One challenging circumstance he encountered was a 15,000-word writing assignment. The task of collecting research, selecting what best supported his arguments, and then compiling his paper was the learning experience. His most memorable was fellow classmates and professors during his in-residence course in Toronto. Paolo Premiani. Jason Timothy Radstake, Walkerton, Ontario. Jason's most memorable course was International Business with Coach Alan Franklin. He learned a lot about the subject and the content of the course inspired him to explore it further with his applied project. He thanks his family for their support over the last 2.5 years. He couldn't achieve this goal without them. He offers thanks also to his fellow students who he became acquainted with during his studies as they supported each other in this journey. Jason Timothy Radstick. Jalbert Alcantara Real, Brampton, Ontario. Jalbert thinks his wife for supporting and encourage him while he pursued his degree. She's always been there to lend a hand, and she too completed her Certified General Accountant designation through Athabasca. Additionally, a friend of his completed his MBA too. Needless to say, Jalbert knew he would enjoy a good learning experience with AU. Completing his degree has given him inspiration and confidence to launch his own business. Jalbert Alcantara Real. Morgan James Robertson, Campbell River, British Columbia. Morgan feels great pride in completing this degree while continuing his career without sacrificing his family as a priority. He's proud to have set an example for his daughter, Shelby, that there's always a path to get what you want, no matter what challenges stand in the way. He thanks Shelby for her patient understanding towards his demanding schedule, and he thanks his father for guidance and expressing his pride in his achievement. Morgan James Robertson. Thomas Allen Daniel Romero, Rocky View, Alberta. Thomas switched careers halfway through his MBA. The increased time demands of his new role pulled him away from his studies, but in turn he was able to use skills gained from his program to secure some early wins in his new role. It helped to ease the transition. He thanks his wife, Narissa, and their children, Isabel and Ryder, for their support and patience over the last 3 years. Thomas Allen Daniel Romero. Stephen Lawrence Roosdahl, Port Coquitlam, British Columbia. Stephen thanks his wife, Becky, and his family for their support. He thanks his boss, Doug Grant, who is an AU MBA, and John Anderson, CEO of Oppenheimer, for recommending and supporting him. After graduating from high school, he had no interest in post-secondary, although his parents did try to coach him. It took him a few years, and 27 years later, his parents are here for his MBA convocation. Stephen Lawrence Roosdahl. Sam Salimi Benny, North York, Ontario. One experience that Sam will forever cherish was the lively and constructive debates on various subjects that were part of the AU approach. A highlight of the program was participating in the Mergers and Acquisition elective in Tampa, where groups of students had to prepare presentations. The results were fantastic. Sam gives sincere thanks to Alan Franklin and Tim Narenz for their outstanding academic guidance, and his wife and son and parents for all of their support. Sam Salimi Benny. Mark Irwin Schultz, Waterton, Ontario. Mark calculated the date he was expecting to complete this degree, then booked a Las Vegas vacation for his wife and then discovered he was missing 2 courses, which he would need before graduating. Well, they still went to Vegas, but he really had to hustle to complete his studies. He thanks Catherine and his children, Courtney and Adam, for their great support, and his father-in-law, Wayne, for being a sounding board and proofreader. Mark Irwin Schultz. Siddharth Sharma, North Vancouver, British Columbia. This was a great personal and professional achievement for Siddharth. It's a goal he first set his eyes on several years ago, and after much dedication and many sleepless nights and a few giggles and fellow cohorts, he's here. His family business in India has benefited the most from his studies, and he'll continue to implement what he's learned as he can. He thanks his families and friends for their support, and especially his parents, Pradeep and Sunita, and his fiancée, Lisa. Siddharth Sharma. Trevor D. Shurston, Edmonton, Alberta. Trevor chose AU for the recognition it has gained and for the online learning capability. It is also, and because it's also accredited in the United States. He's appreciated the ability for students to work together and to support each other. He has a passion for renewable energy and electric cars, and and every member of each cohort is well aware of this passion. He gives special thanks to his wife Janice for their support while he completed his studies. Trevor D. Shurston. Brett Lauren Spate, Red Deer, Alberta. Brett enjoyed so many of his courses and appreciated the expertise of his professors and coaches. The diverse backgrounds of his fellow students made for great discussions and allowed him to learn about many different industries and organizations. He thanks his mom for showing him the importance of education and lifelong learning, and he's grateful to his wife Emily, who pushed him to pursue this degree and picked up the household slack for the duration. Brett Lauren Spate. Margaret Wingar Tam, Burnaby, British Columbia. Margaret chose AU because of the accelerated program, because the curriculum could be customized to her learning. The flexible learning modality was very much to her liking. A family health emergency made it necessary for her to pause her studies for about 4 months, but thanks to her faith was able to get through the valleys and continue. She thanks her husband Sheldon for his love and support. Margaret Wing Gar Tam. Satvir Deer Tchak, Oak Bluff, Manitoba. Satyr enjoyed the diversity in her groups as it allowed her to learn from other professionals and organizations and industries. She found that despite being in different industries, they shared similar challenges, and thanks her children, Shani and Navi, for their support while she juggled studies, life, and career. There were many times, due to study demand, she gave up precious family time in order to become a better role model for them. Satvir K. Chachak. Stephanie Christine Tissos, Richmond Hill, Ontario. Stephanie will always remember the in-residence component of her program while she became face-to-face with fellow students. In her final course, it was quite emotional and meaningful to share with everyone in person. She thanks her family for cheering her on and her friends for always believing she could achieve her goal. In her free time, she teaches continuing ed at her local college. Stephanie Christine Chisos. Jennifer D. Villanueva, Richmond, British Columbia. All of Jennifer's courses were beneficial, but her first two most special. International business law held in DC was informative and a great opportunity. And second, her applied project allowed her to do in-depth analysis. She thanks her family for the great circle of support and dedicates her degree to her grandmother, Nicanora, who recently passed away. Jennifer D. Villanueva. Brunel Gavini Verre, Edmonton, Alberta. One memory that will truly stick with Brunel is the work he did in his applied project. It was definitely not his favorite course, but an achievement he's very proud of. The course never seemed to end, and when it was finally over, he was very happy he had done it. He acknowledges his partner Ivan for the great patience and support and for cheering him on, and thanks his mom and sisters for encouraging and challenging him to his goal. Renelle Gavini Verre. David Villagic, Fort McMurray, Alberta. The biggest challenge David encountered during his studies was being evacuated from his home in Fort McMurray due to the 2016 wildfire. With his wife's support, he was able to continue his studies. And one fun thing to note, when he was on a Disney cruise with his family, he was posting discussion comments with Disney characters Mickey and Pluto all around him. He thanks his wife, Damjana, and his son, Daniel, and his mother, Maria, for their support and patience. David Belagic. Mohammed Ikal Watu, Edmonton, Alberta. Mohammed's most memorable moments during his in-residence courses when students attended lectures during the day and worked at assignments all evening. These moments reminded him of school days filled with fun. He thanks his wife and children for their support and encouragement throughout his studies. It was their sacrifices that made it possible for him to complete his degree. Mohammed Iqbal Watu. Helen May Weatherly, Calgary, Alberta. Helen thanks her husband, Justin Knight, and their children, Cohen and Ruby, for their support and understanding through this MBA journey. Helen is an advocate for increasing gender equality in the field of IT. In May, she was the keynote speaker at a conference focused on 700 Calgary grade 9 girls to many benefits of choosing a career in IT. What a wonderful experience. Helen May Weatherly. Cameron Jeffrey Wu, Lethbridge, Alberta. One challenge that Cameron encountered during his studies was having an emergency appendectomy about a week before a paper was due. Fortunately, he worked ahead of schedule to meet that deadline. One notable memory from AU was the in-residence week for mergers and acquisitions. It was a great capstone for his MBA. He thanks his wife for all her support and encouragement. Cameron Jeffrey Wu. Timothy Henrik Wydra, Oakbank, Manitoba. Timothy thanks his wife Larissa for supporting what seemed like a crazy decision at the time and to embark on this MBA, especially knowing just how challenging and time-consuming the program was, having completed it herself in 2014. He found it to be a most rewarding experience, and also thanks Todd and Amber Lee for traveling from Winnipeg to celebrate this very special occasion with him. Timothy Henrik Wydra. Howard Ho Kwan Yu, Pembroke, Ontario. Howard will always remember the Developing Leaders Elective with Deborah Hurst and Angela Workman-Stark. The residency in Edmonton was an intense and emotional experience, and the way the class bonded with each other in such a short time was truly extraordinary. He thanks his family for supporting his decision to embark on this journey. Erica and the kids, Melina and Nathaniel, bore the burden of his study schedule, and he's grateful for their forbearance and sacrifice. Howard Ho Kwan Yu. Shane John Zabordoff, Calgary, Alberta. Each of Shane's instructors brought wisdom, a unique perspective, and tremendous knowledge to their courses. He particularly liked Tim Narenz's Mergers and Acquisitions course. He acknowledges his wife Mary and his daughter Cassandra for their support. Also the team project on Pilot Project International for their enormous support. Sean is a book author who travels globally, speaks at various events, and plans fully to represent and brag about his AU experience. Shane John Zabordoff. Madam Chair and Mr. President, this concludes the presentation of the Masters of Business Administration graduates.
Aren't these guys amazing? Asani is one of the most remarkable vocal groups in Canada, if not in the world. I first heard them perform at the Smithsonian event back in Washington, D.C. back in 2006, and I've been a huge fan ever since. So You have no idea how excited I was when I heard that Asani has always performed at Athabasca University Convocations, and I welcome them back and look forward to having them here for many more years.
We would like to share a Cree blessing song, and the words of this song are, "My friend, I sing this song for you. I ask the Creator to give you a good life with lots of love." Niwichiwagan, nitik oche. Niwichiwagan, kinkamosta matin. Manito minao, mindo tamawao, mio pimati, egua mesa he, sagihito wen, kia wawoche, weya, weya, heya. Manito minao, nindo tamawao, mio pimati, egua mesa he, sagihito wen, kia wawoche, weya, weya, heya.
Madam Chair and Mr. President, I have the honor to present these graduates for the admission to the degree Bachelor of Administration, and Dr. Eric Wang will join you to receive the graduates. Andreas Herman Adler, North Vancouver, British Columbia. Andreas changed his tune from "I thought it would be super easy" to "if it wasn't tough enough, everyone would do it," and finally to "never give up, never surrender." He's a family guy, and so when faced with spending time with his wife and kids or paying for another extension, it was a no-brainer. It cost him more money, but he would gladly pay to be with his family. He thanks his wife and kids and his parents for always being there when most needed. Andreas Herman Adler. Andrea M. Cree, Moncton, New Brunswick. It has taken Andrea 10 years to complete this degree due to 6 moves, multiple changes in employment, family sickness, and demands of a growing family. To celebrate, she and her husband Bill went on a 9-day vacation in Hawaii, a trip that they never thought they'd be able to take because they live on the east coast of Canada. So she thought it was fitting that for a degree she felt would never end, she'd take a trip that was never possible. Andrea M. Cree. Alexis Louise McMillan, Kelowna, British Columbia. AU gave Alexis the flexibility to study and submit coursework while living the entrepreneurial life from often a variety of time zones. She studied and wrote papers on planes, trains, and even a junk boat in Vietnam. She wrote papers beside pools on vacation in her friends' basements, and gives a huge thanks to her husband Greg for putting up with her study habits, encouraging her and feeding her. Alexis Louise McMillan. Madam Chair and Mr. President, this concludes the presentation of Bachelors of Administration graduates. Madam President and, Madam Chair and Mr. President, I have the honor to present these graduates for admission to the degree Bachelor of Commerce, and Dr. Eric Wang will join you to receive the graduates. Rothana Doobie, Brooks, Alberta. Rothana's family came to Canada from Cambodia when she was a toddler. She watched her parents start with nothing and build a beautiful life here. Completing this degree is the ultimate thank you to them for their hardship that they endured, and without their support, she would have lost faith in herself. Her children were her motivation, and she thanks her husband for his support and contribution to their family. Without it, she would not have been able to achieve this goal. Rothana Doobie. Tara Ann Lirer, Ottawa, Ontario. Tara chose AU for the flexibility. At first it was to accommodate her work schedule, then she decided to focus on her study full-time, and the flexible schedule allowed her to go through the courses much more quickly than in a traditional university. In fact, in her final year, she completed 20 courses and was able to achieve honors with great distinction. Wow. She thanks her husband Michael and their son David for support while she completed her degree. Tara Ann Lirer. Ashley Aurelia McConaughey, Westlock, Alberta. For Ashley, finding a balance between work, studies, and an active social life was the challenge. It meant compromising and completing her degree, which was longer than she hoped, and it provided the balance she needed. The great thing is that this degree has given her an entry into a career she truly loves. She thanks her husband, Riley, for his continuous support and encouragement, and her parents for also being an important part of her support system. Ashley Aurelia McConaughey. Mir Elisher Sayedi, Calgary, Alberta. Thanks to the knowledge that Mir has gained from his studies, he's now known by his friends and families as the go-to numbers guy for taxes, mortgages, and business investments. The degree has equipped him to succeed in future endeavors, including the pursuit of a career in investment banking. He thanks his mom for her support, his sister for telling him about AU, and his fiancée for studying with him and motivating him to succeed. Mir Elisher Sayedi. Karen Sablu Ta, Calgary, Alberta. AU offered the program that Karen wanted and the flexibility to complete it on her own schedule. She appreciated the convenience of being able to work on courses anywhere, anytime, and thanks her instructors and other AU staff with whom she had to connect. She thanks her family for their love and support because it was that helped her complete her degree. Karen Sahuglu Ta. Madam Chair and Mr. President, this concludes the presentation of the Bachelor of Commerce graduates. Madam Chair and Mr. President, I have the honor to present to you graduates for the admission to the degree Bachelor of Management, and Dr. Eric Wang will join you to receive the graduates. Natalie Chan, Calgary, Alberta. Natalie set out to pursue a degree decades ago, but due to an accident that left her son with a brain injury, she put it all aside. Now, thanks to the flexibility of this program, she's been able to accomplish one of the biggest goals in her life, and it gives her a great sense of personal achievement. She thanks her son Jory for putting up with the non-stop studying, and she thanks Brandon for bringing her coffee daily and encouraging her to take regular breaks. Natalie Chan. Michelle Bridget Doyle, Toronto, Ontario. Michelle will always be grateful to Dr. Ved Madden for going above and beyond and providing the coaching she needed. She dedicates this degree to her mother, Sarah Doyle, who first raised her to believe she could do anything, and to her aunt, Marie McGrath, who passed away in March, who was equally vital in helping her achieve her milestone. She acknowledges her meditation teacher, who stressed the importance of discipline and working towards this goal. Michelle Bridget Doyle. Rosalind Dubon, Edmonton, Alberta. Rosalind is very pleased that she did not stop her human resources schooling with just a certificate, but committed to the long haul and completed this degree. She will always remember the flexibility of both the courses and her professors, appreciated that she was able to connect with her professors in more ways than one, and they provided genuine responses. She thanks her husband, her parents, her brother for their unfailing support, encouragement, and guidance. Rosalind Dubon. Sivrani Dursun, Plains, Willems, Mauritius. During an earlier educational pursuit, Sivrani had to take time off for personal health reasons. Later, she wanted to continue. She chose AU for the flexibility. Through AU and the much appreciated support of her family, she has completed her degree, and thanks to her mother and two elder sisters, brothers-in-law, for their encouragement. She is also grateful to her elder sister, Vandana, for her constant love and support. Sivrani Dursun. Anne Margaret Ford, St. Albert, Alberta. Anne couldn't always find a time that worked very well to write exams, but fortunately she works in downtown Edmonton and would sometimes take an extended lunch break, catch a cab, and walk to the Edmonton Learning Center to write her exams. She says, lucky for her, she's a fast test writer. And she thanks her husband for his amazing support throughout her years of study, and her mom, who has always been her biggest supporter. Anne Margaret Ford. Congratulations. Amber Heatbridge, Grand Prairie, Alberta. Amber chose AU because of its collaborative degree program. It allowed her to take courses in a classroom setting at her local college and take the rest online at her own pace. She thanks her husband Richie, her children Kaylee, Brandon, and Mike for their understanding and support throughout the journey. She acknowledges her parents for spending many hours helping her to care for the household while she focused on her studies. Amber Heatbridge. Andrea I. Hovarth, London, Ontario. Andrea acknowledges her family for their support during her studies. She chose AU because of completing the program online was a great way to get her degree and keep working. It was challenging to study with a full-time job, but she prioritized her schedule and got through it all. One of the best things about completing her degree was the sense of personal achievement. It also helped her get a promotion. Andrea I. Horvath. Michael Elias Kobrosely, Calgary, Alberta. Michael will remember the appreciation, the ability to work on classes wherever he was, rather than being stuck in a classroom. His first 3 courses were challenging because he wasn't used to making his own schedule. But once he got accustomed to the routine, it became an advantage. He thanks his family and his girlfriend Samantha for their support throughout this degree study. Michael Elias Kobrosely. Nicholas Morrison, Calgary, Alberta. One thing that Nicholas will remember about AU experience is the ability to really think for himself in developing sound reasoning skills. He feels he's grown exponentially as a student and a person. He thanks his professors and other staff for always being there to answer his questions and provide much appreciated feedback. He thanks his family for their encouragement, especially his wife, for being tremendously supported. Nicholas Morrison. Cayenne Ann Nguyen, Edmonton, Alberta. Attending university while working full-time was very challenging for Kiang. What kept him going was the lesson he learned from his father. He knew that through patience and perseverance he would achieve his goal. He thanks everyone at AU who assisted him, and he thanks his sister for her advice and encouragement and his mother for her support and love. Kiang and Nguyen. Selul Niathi, Calgary, Alberta. Although the fees for AU were reasonable compared to other universities, Selul still had to take breaks in her studies while she sourced funding through loans and grants and her own financial input. She thanks AU for the grants received, acknowledges her professors and tutors for their dedication, and especially academic expert Joe's Arikadan for making a challenging course more interesting and easier to understand. Selul Niathi. Darren James Rebelt, Aldergrove, British Columbia. Darren is the first in his family to immigrate to Canada and the first to accomplish a university degree. One thing he will remember is how easy it is to talk to his professors and how they actually showed an interest in what he was talking about. He thanks his wife Kim and their sons Zachary and Nicholas for their support and encouragement. Since completing this degree, he's received a promotion at work and gained valuable experience. Darren James Rebelt. Thank you. Kelly Edith Roper, Leduc, Alberta. Kelly's experience with Athabasca University has been great. The staff professor is extremely helpful, and she loved the flexibility of working online. Especially beneficial as she has 2 small children who were sick through the majority of her studies and required much attention. She received great support from her family, if not her mom, her husband, and some of the challenges that would have kept her from completion. Kelly Edith Roper. Aaron Douglas Sermon, Strathmore, Alberta. Without AU, there was no possible way that Aaron could have completed a degree while working full-time and supporting his family. For him, AU was local, cost-effective, and allowed him to complete studies around his work and family schedules. He thanks his wife and their baby girl for their love and support, and for kicking him out of the house in the evenings to study. He thanks his other family members, especially his mom, for their encouragement. Aaron Douglas Sermon. Danielle Elaine Smith, Airdrie, Alberta. Danielle appreciated her program planning and methods in an adult learning course, which gave her the tools to create training programs and the confidence to create and assess an orientation program at her place of employment. She thanks her husband, Chris Valcourt, for his love and support throughout her degree. He's been there for her through the frustration and the excitement and the algebra, or as he used to call it, weird math. Danielle Elaine Smith. Darlene Elsie Strong, Edmonton, Alberta. Darlene chose AU for the convenience of the online format, and she had heard many good things about the university and staff. Her favorite courses were the ones focusing on economics, and she thanks the staff, her supervisors, her family and friends, Angie, for their patience and support while she studied to complete this degree. To celebrate the achievement, she went to Greece and Rome from May 10th to June 8th. Darlene Elsie Strong. Madam Chair and Mr. President, this concludes the presentation of the Bachelor of Management graduates.
It is customary at each ceremony for a student to deliver a speech to his or her colleagues. This year's address to the graduates will be given by Tara Lehrer. Tara hails from Ottawa, Ontario, so please join me in welcoming Tara to the podium.
Madam Chair, Mr. President, distinguished guests, members of the Platform Party, graduates, and ladies and gentlemen. Hello, everybody. I'm extremely honored to be standing up here in front of you all today. After today, I will be moving forward with everything else in my life. We will all be moving forward, on to new things, things that we planned for, and things that we never expected. This is the perfect time to reflect on all that we have accomplished and to choose a new path that will lead us to our next challenge. Maybe there were many moments when we would have rather been doing anything but school, but now we are all ready to move ahead. I must admit, when I got the call asking if I would do the student address, while I felt very honored and excited, at the same time, I was tremendously scared. Public speaking has never been my forte. But after considerable consideration, I realized this was the perfect way to end this incredible journey. I know that even though this is not something that comes easy for me, I am again overcoming something that I would have never pictured myself doing. This is also a way for me to move ahead into new experiences. My time at AU has been relatively short. I registered for my first class at the end of 2014 and proceeded to do a few courses part-time while I was working. After much consideration and the full support of my wonderful husband, I was lucky enough to be able to leave my full-time job to pursue my studies full-time. I then spent the next 2 years treating school like a full-time job, with the last year being the most intense. I am proud to say I was able to complete the final 2 years of my degree in just 1 year to fulfill all requirements for my Bachelor of Commerce degree. This is the beauty of Athabasca University. No matter what situation a student is in, there is a path leading to success. In my case, I wanted to finish my degree quickly, something a traditional university would have never allowed me to do. I know for many others, the flexibility of taking longer to complete their degree is what draws them to this school. Even though my time with AU was short, and maybe yours was a bit longer, we all covered the same ground. It is not the time that it takes to accomplish our goals that is important. It is the fact that we achieved our goals. Shortly after making the decision to complete 20 courses in 1 year, I was sitting having lunch with somebody very close to me. I was trying to explain how I had it all mapped out and how I was going to accomplish my goal. He then looked at me and said, I know you are an accountant, Tara, but life is not a spreadsheet. It made me laugh quite hard. Being an accountant, any one-liners about spreadsheets really makes my day. The lesson I keep learning over and over again, and especially having worked so hard to complete my degree, is that often we truly do not know or appreciate just what we are capable of. There may have been a moment, or many moments, when we thought it was too hard or too much, but each and every one of us overcame those thoughts and proved to ourselves that anything that we set our minds to really is possible. I've been fortunate to have the support of much of my family and friends, but there were always some people quick to tell me that what I was trying to do in such a short time was impossible or even crazy. I must admit, having someone tell me that something is impossible just drives me want to achieve it even more. Deciding to challenge ourselves and working towards self-improvement is never a bad choice. There is always room to expand our lives and our minds. I'm not saying that this is easy. There was nothing easy about this journey for any of us, but it is definitely worth all the hard work and stress, long-filled days, as I'm sure you can all agree now. Unfortunately, there still are some people who look down at online schools and somehow think it is easier or not to the same standard as traditional schools. Having participated in post-secondary education both ways, I feel doing online courses was much more challenging. Not only is Athabasca University a real university, but I believe the education and experience from this school is truly amazing. We have learned so much more than just our subject matter having completed our degrees this way. Every graduate sitting here today should hold their head up high, knowing they were able to succeed in the challenging online learning environment. There really is no limit to what each and every one of us can accomplish from here. Congratulations, graduates, and thank you for being here today. I wish you all the best of luck with everything the future holds. And thank you to everyone at Athabasca University and friends and family for helping us all reach this immense accomplishment. I would like to leave you with this final thought. It always saddens me to hear people say, "Oh, I can never go back to school. I do not have it in me." To these people I say, it is not going back to school, it is going forward to school. There is nothing about pursuing a degree that is going backwards. Thank you.
Convocation ceremonies are the result of a great deal of work by many people. And on behalf of the Board of Governors, I'd like to acknowledge this hard work by offering our thanks to the Convocation Coordinator, Teresa Pollock, the staff of our Advancement Department, the Office of the Registrar, our Facilities team, the faculties who've been conferring the various degrees, the Office of the University Secretariat and Carol Lund, and the many AU staff and volunteers who have contributed to making this day, the third of 3-day convocation, an extraordinary success. Thank you also to the Athabasca University Students' Union and the Athabasca University Graduate Students Association who sponsored the lunches, and to our other sponsors, Buy Low Foods, Service Credit Union, and the Super 8 Hotel. Thank you also to Nourish Catering, who prepared the breakfast and lunches, and to Asani for their wonderful performances, and especially the song they wrote for our convocation ceremonies. And thank you to our wonderful Athabasca community volunteers and our community leaders who provided assistance with meals and cleanup. We'd also like to offer a very special thank you to Elder Maria Campbell for saying the opening prayer in each of the 3 convocation ceremonies. Hi there. Are you going to be graduating too? Pretty soon? All right. Before we close, I'd like to draw your attention to this remarkable mace that is sitting on our podium. Symbolic of the traditional talking stick commonly used by many First Nations people to express the authority and power of the group, This mace was created by Brian Clark of Fort McMurray and was donated to Athabasca University by Richard and Carol Aberg. Just to share with you, and it's also in your program, that the materials are all symbolic. The base is a moose horn, chosen because of the way that the moose feeds low and yet stands tall and strong. The shaft is pine and fir, fully twisted, referring to all the four directions at once. The bear claws reflect the balance of power by the strongest in nature, and the bear teeth represent wisdom and solidarity. The arrowhead represents firmness and counsel, and the stone eagle's head represents guidance and spirit. The eagle and tail feathers represent mobility and wariness. And finally, the beads represent the human element, so lightly attached to nature. So as our mace is exited through the room, please pay attention to it. It is really quite a beautiful piece. I'd like to thank everyone, and I guess before we rise, just welcome again the class of 2017 of Athabasca University. Thanks again, and you're invited to join us for lunch at the lunch that's across the hall, sponsored by, as I mentioned, the Students' Union and the Graduate Students' Association. Members of the audience are requested to rise and remain at their seats until the platform party, members of the board, faculty, and graduates have completed their exit.
This one? That one? Okay. I want this one.